Devin Waters always wanted to play quarterback at the Division I level, but after failing to receive any scholarships by his senior season, he desperately picked up a spot on defense to hopefully grasp at a less second offer. After having a breakout season his senior year playing safety, Devin was able to haul in multiple offers, including his dream school, Kansas, which was located right next to his hometown. Devin would later commit to Kansas, where he would go on to have a stellar year leading the Jayhawks defense in tackles, even as a true freshman. But everything would completely change his sophomore season. The season would start off greatly as we had an amazing performance against Texas and would later upset them, but after the game, terrible news would come for Kansas as we lost both of our starting quarterbacks, Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean, to injury. Tracking all the way back to high school and playing both sides of the ball, Kansas was one of the few schools who offered Devin a scholarship for the quarterback position too. So with the recent injury news, the coaches would throw him in as an emergency quarterback to hopefully keep this undefeated season alive. After winning the starting quarterback spot, Devin would have to quickly game plan in 1 week as he'd be getting his first start at the collegiate level versus Central Michigan. The first game would be a complete struggle for Devin as he was making terrible reads not only in the air but on the ground when he was running read option plays. Kansas would later fall to a 13-point deficit, but to end off the half, Devin would start heating up, connecting on a couple throws to his wide receivers to even get in field goal range to hopefully spark some momentum for the second half of this game. Getting the ball first in the third quarter, we're looking to cut this lead down to only one possession, and Devin is showing off his ability on the ground, and that would later set up a big throw that would get us inside the 5-yard line to the outside. Our coach just wanted to pound the rock inside the 5-yard line, and we would get our first touchdown on a read option, and Devin Waters is starting to get hyped. Getting the ball back with under 3 minutes remaining, we were getting blitzed, and we were able to connect with our wide receiver, Grim, and he would later break the one-on-one tackle and go all the way, and we have the lead finally in this game. Central Michigan was able to score a touchdown, so we now trail by 3 points, and on our first start ever as a college quarterback, we have to go on a money drive. This would be his best drive yet, even connecting with Grim once again over the middle, and that would later lead to our wide open touchdown on the left side, and we have the lead, and our defense was able to hold on to get our first ever victory as a quarterback, and we would even win player of the game with over 3 total touchdowns. Even in our second game, Devin Waters is starting off phenomenal, sitting with a 10-point lead, hitting dots over the middle, trying to make this a 3-possession lead right before the halftime break, and we were able to do so, handing it to our running back, and all of a sudden we have a 17-point lead. Texas Tech would actually come back in this game, getting it to a 7-point game. They would get a sack on us on defense, and it's not looking good for this Kansas team at all. But our coach would bring out the triple read option on a 2nd and 21, and Devin would turn into Superman, breaking tackles and having his biggest run yet on the collegiate level, picking up a first down. That first down was enough for us to go ahead and win this game, but we have a big matchup next as we are taking a top 10 ranked opponent in Oklahoma Sooners in our very next game. Our coach would actually elect to receive the ball in this game as we wanted to punch them in their mouth before they could punch us in our mouth because we were playing one of the best offenses in the nation, and our triple read option was getting ran to a T all game long in this one. This was probably one of our prettiest drives yet as we completed every single pass and was also running the ball well as we would score a touchdown on a read option. Although Devin was amazing his freshman year as a safety, this game is proving why he always should have been a quarterback, dominating in read options and also making great plays on the run, connecting on big plays even after getting out the pocket. That would lead to us throwing one of our prettiest lob balls for a touchdown to take a 14-point lead, and it's looking very good for the Jayhawks right now. Our defense would get another stop, and we could potentially take a 21-point lead, and Devin Waters is still dominating on the ground, but on this next triple read option, we would have our worst mistake yet, pitching the ball way too late, and the ball would go on the ground and we would have our first turnover of the season. But the bleeding would not stop there. Calling another triple read option, we would pitch the ball wrongly again, and Devin would have 2 fumbles in 2 exact plays in a row. Now with the game being tied at 14 apiece in the fourth quarter, we're looking to make a superhero play, but we're going to throw our first interception of the season, and that is now our 3rd turnover in this game alone. Now trailing by 7 points with only a minute and 30 seconds remaining, we're doing everything we can now in our second money drive in only 3 games at the college level. But trying to get it all back in one play, Devin would force another stupid ball over the middle, and that would be our 4th turnover of the game, being our 2nd interception. We would go on to lose our first game of the season. Now in our next matchup with our first loss of the season, we would be taking on Kansas State, our rival, who did not offer us a scholarship, and this was Devin Waters' dream school, but we are going to start off with a miracle play, bouncing off of one of our wide receivers. He would stay up off the ground, and we would actually score a touchdown. And just like our last game, we had a chance to take a 2-possession lead after our defense got a stop, but Devin Waters is going to force another ball over the middle, and now he's just looking like a turnover machine. We were actually able to bounce back, hitting a huge dot in the next possession to hopefully get another touchdown on this board, but going back to the triple read option, Devin would pitch the ball way too late again, and it would turn into a fumble as it would go straight into the defender's hands. This game would remain close, even heading into the third quarter, trailing by only 3 points. Close to the fourth quarter, Devin's going to have his biggest play yet of the game, taking a read option for nearly 35 yards. Our coach knew besides our mental mistakes, this was our best offense if we kept it on the ground, and Devin would once again have another big run that would get us inside the 5-yard line here. Now to capitalize it off, Devin would punch it in, carrying 2 defenders into the end zone, and he is now super excited. But with this Kansas State offense scoring every single time they touch the ball, our coach would keep calling read options, and later we would get bagged on a 3rd and 4 and get sacked, and we have to punt them the ball back. And now they lead by 10 points. That offense is just dominating our defense right now. All we need is a miracle, though. With 3 timeouts left, we have to score fast. But once again, trying to do it all in one play, Devin Waters would force another ball and throw another interception, and that would do it for us as we take our 2nd loss in a row. Despite losing those 2 games back-to-back, those would be our only 2 losses of the season, as Kansas would finish at 10-2 en route to being a top 4 rated team. Devin's numbers were actually not that bad, finishing with around 2,600 yards and 25 total touchdowns, while also doing very well on the ground, having almost 580 total rushing yards. We would also be making a bowl game where we would be taking on the number 11 ranked Michigan State Spartans. With transfer portal rumors looming in the air around Devin Waters, he is looking to impress here in potentially his last game ever as a Jayhawk. Kansas has let Devin know that he has a starting spot no matter what after turning this team around next year, but Devin has been thinking all season long about better opportunities to play at higher level colleges to potentially increase his draft stock. Focusing back on the Michigan State bowl game we have on our hands right now, Devin Waters would throw the ball out of bounds on a triple read option on a 3rd down, and we'd have to settle for 3. There's been a lot of rumors about Devin saying he cannot perform against high-level teams, and he's looking to turn that around as he is dominating in this game against Michigan State, having one of his biggest runs yet of the season, breaking out the pocket, picking up a huge 1st down, fumbling the ball out of bounds, luckily. Now looking to score in the goal line like we struggled to last drive. We're going to have another throw that would reset the downs, but Devin Waters is going to force a ball into quadruple coverage and throw an interception early in this matchup. Luckily, our defense would get us a stop, and Devin would throw his prettiest ball in single coverage, splitting the safety all the way to the end zone, and Grimm is going to connect on a huge touchdown. Now sitting with a 10-point lead and around 30 seconds remaining, we could potentially get back in field goal range and make this a 13-0 game heading into half, but Devin Waters is going to force a ball near the sideline, and the corner is going to jump up and get an interception late before the half ends. They would score with 16 seconds remaining and then also score in their first possession of the second half, but Devin Waters needs to still win this game, starting off with a huge run. Being one of the most athletic players on the field allows him to keep the ball in his hands a lot more than quarterbacks normally do on the ground, and he is showing off elite potential in the open space. Our coach would call a screen pass on 3rd and 12, and we weren't able to hit the running back, so we barely hit the tight end, but he would come back to it on 4th and 6, and we were not able to walk away with any points here in the 4th. Our defense would give us a chance with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. We need to do everything we can to walk away with a win in our last game of the season, and Devin Waters is starting to have a good money drive here. Now on a broken play, we were actually able to scramble out the pocket and find a wide open running back, and he was not able to get all the way to the end zone as he would get hawked down, but we are sitting perfectly in the 5-yard line. Now with only a minute and 10 seconds remaining, we chewed the clock down a little bit as much as we could, and we were able to score a last-second touchdown. Michigan State would go on to drive down the field and throw a touchdown with 19 seconds remaining, and all we had left was a Hail Mary left in this game, and we would end up getting hit as we were throwing. Despite losing the bowl game, Devin Waters had an amazing first year as a college quarterback, and make sure you hit the subscribe if you want to see the rest of his story.